just just documenting for my children, just documenting for my children and the younger generation the lies that they told to my grandparents and my father's generation. So y'all can keep telling yourselves the lie if y'all want to. Y'all could keep living a lie of these nations that got their backs broke being independent. But let me just tell all of y'all individuals from places like Nigeria and Ghana, when you let the British break your back and then you let the same British come here to the US, lose a battle to us, lie to you and tell you that nobody was here when they pulled up, but they lost a battle to end it. They told you they fought against themselves. No, they ain't fight against themselves. So when they tell you all men are created equal, when they tell you we broke your back, we need you to come to the US and help us take this land that we've never been able to take. Let me just let y'all know. If you was enslaved and colonized by any Western power, you're still colonized. Until you man up and woman up and get your people free, all you African nations embezzling funds, letting these individuals pillage and rape and tax you while you got your people living in third world, and then y'all dance around in London and y'all dance around in New York. Listen, don't come over here with that mess. We just let you know straight up, individuals who ain't never been colonized. Yeah, our ancestors came from that same continent. You a stranger to us, coming from that same continent with the Apostle Paul, with the Messiah, and you letting some inferior Greco-Romans, none of our ancestors from that continent ever bowed, ever lost. All throughout the Word of God, you see the Roman centurion. The Roman centurion was not a Roman. It was our ancestors from the continent taxing Rome, because Rome was the most weakest, powerless. The Roman centurion is the military of Cush that Rome just paid as mercenaries to provide security. And here y'all, because of your unnatural worship, just like the Hebrews, because of their unnatural worship, Pharisees and the Sadducees and King Herod were slaves to Julius Caesar. Y'all, Nigeria, Ghana, the whole continent was called Africa in 1885 because y'all want to worship spirits of the dead. Y'all want to do black magic. Okay, we just letting you know. And then the BBC is British. The British are mocking you in Africa. They create Netflix to tell the world in 2021, these Africans run around here talking about independence. Look how we slaughtered them. That's why the Word of God told you, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. He said, blessed are the meek, blessed are the humble. If y'all had kept it humble, then the Most High God, and if y'all had been faithful, then the Most High God would have been broke the back. But because y'all not only worship unnatural spirits of the dead, like the Egyptians did, you still ain't learned your lesson. Okay, then the slave master get that. We just want you to know, Please do not come to the United States of America because y'all embezzling funds and because y'all done took oaths and because y'all taking that blood money. Of course, they lackeys can prance around the world. Yeah, you could get a flat in London. At what cost, though? Oh yeah, you could go to school and y'all engineers for Lockheed Martin and all of that down in Huntsville, Alabama. We know your pipeline, homie. And so all of those wars all across Africa, the Nigerians are going to Huntsville, Alabama, getting engineering degrees, and then going to all of the military contractors in Huntsville, Alabama, and then sending the missiles, the rockets, the guns, the everything back all over Africa. And then mysteriously everybody wants to talk like, oh, there civil conflict, unrest. These people don't even got food. How they got guns, an unlimited supply. Because the Nigerians and the British and the US know that civil unrest means that they could keep extracting the minerals, and the Nigerians and the Ghanaians and every single one of them countries got a sweetheart arrangement where they got some prime ministers or some royal families who done sold out and took the Judas price, and they give the British and the French and the Dutch and the Germans and the Swiss and everybody free reign. They send their children to the US and to Europe to get educated, to be engineers. Then they get these military contracts. And then mysteriously, don't nobody know how the weapons. You can get weapons there, but you can't get businesses. You can't get lending. You can't build infrastructure. You can get weapons. So in the USA, we're not playing the game with none of y'all. If y'all let Europeans come, I don't care if South America, Canada, I don't care where y'all. You could march, you could run for office. Listen, if you came from an island, if you came from a place that the Roman Catholic Church and the British and the Irish and the Dutch colonized you and you still a colonizer, then you're gonna run over here and try and talk like you educated. Listen, if your whole family is still in third world poverty, listen, you don't have no authority in the USA, homie. Because our ancestors stood up. Our ancestors weathered every storm and still ride on the high places of the earth. In every, I don't care what you talk about. You could talk about entertainment, you could talk about fashion, you could talk about business, you could talk about recreation, you could talk about beauty, you could talk about anything. And it's not a coincidence that in the USA, individuals like myself, and none of them slave labels can you attach to us. Nothing that came out of the West, nothing that came out of Greece and Rome. Before Abraham was, I am that I am, the renowned remnant that has dominion, that is fruitful, that multiplies, replenishes the earth, and subdues it. So I'm just going to show you how the Europeans colonized these individuals. Then they let their colonies lie to the world and tell you, oh, we gained our independence in the 1990s. like South Africa tried to do with Nelson Mandela. All over Africa, all over the world, they all did it. Cuba did it, Fidel Castro. Them niggas was still connected to the Roman Catholic Church in Spain, talking about independence. Same thing in Iran. That man went and studied in France. Talk about they had a revolution. They had no revolution. France wanted Iran to go from a democracy to a rebel. And that's just what their colony did. Independent. That's France's colony. Iran. That's France. Little France. Saudi Arabia. That's little British. That's Little Britain. That's Great Britain. Saudi Arabia. And Lawrence of Arabia colonized Arabia. British Lord. And they made a movie out of it. Y'all run around here talking about, yeah, we men of God and women. But so your colonizer is a man of God too? The infidel who colonized you, if you were a man of God, then that makes the colonizer that raped and pillaged all over the world a man of God. Or does that make you an infidel? Y'all tell me, Saudi Arabia, which one is it? Either you men of God or you infidels. Which one is it? Oh, it's plain to see. Y'all want to have y'all cake and eat it too. Y'all want the crown from the British, but y'all want to be able to wield the sword and be the spiritual bully. That's your job. That's the price you got to pay as a Viking for the British crown. That's what the Vikings always were, the spiritual bully of Europe. That's what Saudi Arabia is. Make sure y'all let them know. That's what all of their little factions, they all, the spiritual bullies, the Vikings, the only value that the Vikings ever had was to be the spiritual bullies of the family. So let's keep it straight. It don't matter what y'all do. We educating a whole nother generation. So when everybody who's 50 and up, when y'all go into the grave, it don't matter how you feel. It don't matter what you think. Your day is come and gone. We got individuals from 24 down to newborn. And every day, we're going to make sure that not one of the lies that y'all been telling for 2,000 years ever survives. We putting every lie that you have ever told in the flames. From 24 down to 1 every day of their lives. We've been giving it to them. There's no way you can catch up. There's no way you can make a difference. There's no way. We just letting you know what's going down. The European Aryan lot, that listen, it's over. It will never survive. These next 3 generations that's getting unadulterated truth. Listen, you're gonna look like a fool trying to tell that trash. All you black clowns, you're gonna look like fools. Every time you come to Black History Month and you tell the same old W.E.B. Du Bois, you're gonna look like an ignoramus. Every year you tell it, you just gonna prove everything that we don't show. Listen, it's too much information. And the Most High God said in Matthew 24, knowledge will increase. So when you Neanderthals keep telling the same lie that the Europeans told to come and steal some land, not realizing that we got access to information that they ain't had access to now. And you still telling the same lie. You make my job easy. Keep telling your lie. Keep living your lie. And every time you wake up and you go through your same ritual, your grandchildren and your children, they see you. And more and more and more, every time we expose the information that they got access to, that you didn't have access to, but because you wasn't studying. It says study to show yourself approved unto God. You will get a revelation if you continue to study, but y'all just settle for what they was telling you. Y'all just leaned on the arm of tradition. And y'all the only generation that did it. That baby boomer generation. Oh, didn't you come get it early? That generation from the 1920s, it's my grandfather's generation. And then my father's generation, 2 generations. Before that, every time they came into Canada, they would land, they would build a fort. We would go up there and burn it down. Canada, 1817. Washington, D.C., burnt it to the ground. 1819. Over and over and over and over and over and over. Down in Florida, John Horse, greatest, longest rebellion ever. Successful. They tell you all of them Nat Turners and all that. They don't tell you about John Horse because John Horse, listen, because Nat Turner and them came over here as indentured servants. Listen, they tell you all of the stories about the Europeans that came over and started as indentured servants and then wanted to go and join, not no native Indians, the original Cushite Nubian, renowned sovereign heirs in the USA. When they would try and leave their indentured servitude, they like, listen, it's blood in, blood out. We got a contract. You hopped on a boat and say you was gonna come here and work for 7 years. Ain't no way in the world. Listen, I'll hang you, yo. I'll own you. Them people of color, you European, Scottish, and British, and Spanish, and Portuguese, and all that. Listen, they lost wars, they lost civil wars, and then they signed up for indentured servitude, came over here, and then wanted to be like our ancestors. And got their hands chopped off and feet chopped off. And then the Europeans turned around and told you they was the only ones here. You got to be out of your mind. So I also do this so individuals from those generations, from the 1920 generation and then the baby boomer generation, if y'all want y'all children and y'all grandchildren to finally get an inheritance, we do this so you could tell your babies, yo, you know what? I ain't had access to this information. Y'all need to go. Y'all need to go and make it right. Get out. Listen. Just because we came over here as indentured servants, We ain't have to remain indentured service. We don't got to keep playing the Europeans' game. We don't got to keep being hermit crabs, jealous and envious, thieves, pirates. So I'm going to show this series over the next 90 days, and I'm going to show you all of these individuals who in the Pan-African Union, they in the United Nations, and they still colonies of the Europeans. And that's where they get taxed at. All the United Nations and all the European Union is the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the Sanhedrin of today. And just like the Hebrews got taxed every year, remember, Joseph and Mary went back to Bethlehem to get taxed. They go to these G20 summits and to get taxed. Independent. DC independent. DC ain't independent because DC don't belong to the USA. DC is a double agent. Spewing misinformation and try and make the world believe that they control individuals over here. They don't control nothing, and you about to see. The reason we live lives that are in line with the will of God is because God already gave us his court, his commandment, the keys to the kingdom, crowns, thrones, and we refuse to deviate, but we ain't gonna let you make a mockery or impersonate USA sovereign enmity and separation from the Babylonian world, which they call global citizens. They don't even call themselves US citizens no more. They don't even call the people of the world, you humans, they don't even call you British citizens. They call you global citizens. Because they last and final thing, they like, yo, we gotta unify, we gotta be one front to try and take down this one spot of individuals who still will not bow, will not compromise. So we need all hands on deck. And all hands on deck is going to be slaughtered and is going to drown with the Titanic 2.0. And we're going to systematically pick individuals from the wreckage that belong to us, faith by faith, fold by fold, continent from continent. We're going to pick from the wreckage individuals who never, ever, ever should have been deceived and over there in the first place. So, it's the raw and uncut, unadulterated. Y'all, all of y'all African countries, y'all could stop with the Back to Africa movement. Y'all could listen. They did the same thing, and they slaughtered the African people once they got the individuals to leave the USA. The very first president, John Hanson, George Washington was not the first president. A Muslim blackamoor, John Hanson, went and created Liberia on behalf of the U.S., D.C. Liberia. Go look it up. And he brought Marcus Garvey up from Jamaica, sent W.E.B. Du Bois to Germany to come back with German fascist psychology to teach y'all, oh, let's go back to the motherland. Why? Because they want the USA. But their seed can't bring forth fruit and couldn't keep up with the population growth. It's called the purge. So you didn't get to Africa and then realize, yo, you've been duped and come back. The moment individuals got there, they plunged those nations into civil wars and slaughtered y'all. So you couldn't come back and take back from the Europeans. Morocco, they did the same thing. They did the same thing. Tunisia, all of them, Ghana, the British owned Ghana too, Nigeria and Ghana. In 2019, they had all of y'all. It's the year of return. Come on, Steve Harvey, come back and cry and all of these. 2019, year of return. 2018, year of return. It's the return. We return. We got a home. Nigga, we ain't never not. We the only ones that got a home. Yeah, you right. Y'all don't have no home. Yeah, you better return. That ain't your home either. If you believe the lies that the Europeans tell you, just like the Europeans, you ain't got no home. If you still control with all the action, all of this knowledge and information, yeah, you ain't got no home, yo. You a hermit crab too, like they are. If you still identify and believe that your ancestors came over here as slaves when the Messiah said, before Abraham was, I am. And he said, I am the same yesterday, today, and forever I am. God, I change not. So I will always have a remnant who have not bowed the knee to Baal nor kissed him. He said, always. You have to choose to put yourself in inferior groups and be slaughtered. You have to choose that. Every day we choose to study and find how to trace ourselves back to the same root that he stood on. Before Abraham was, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. And if you ain't taught, if you can't speak about before Abraham, you do yourself a favor. Be quiet.